Hi, welcome to part 6 of the video school. This one is dedicated to some of the industrial locks that ruko is also making to make sure that you can have just one key for everything. The most famous is the 1607, which is a letterbox lock that here's in a 6-pin configuration, and it has this tailpiece here with the retaining pin like you have seen on other brands of locks, and you press this down and then you can rotate to support different thicknesses in tail pieces, as this is an industrial lock, and you can also go with something like this, and it can be mounted to the sideways if that's the right orientation of your letterbox. So, but the 1607 is a standard house. This is a 6-pin standard housing, so Bible. So you can fit regular size springs and pins in here. So if you have a key for your front door, it will also be able to fit an industrial lock like this. There's no limitations. The limitations were only here in the 205. As you can see, it has this miniature Bible here. So actually there are both driver pins and springs up in this little Bible here. So it has made some severe limitations to what keys you could actually fit in here, and the cuts on the key, because you need extremely tiny drivers, and the variations when you pull out your key, you don't have gaps for much of a variation in here. So they have even filed all the tips of the triangles to make less movement in here, and you cannot go to the highest of it. The whole key has actually been filed down, and you can't make the deep cuts and you can't make all the high cuts. So it's only the ones in the middle that are supported by this one. But it's a nice little industrial lock, and ASA makes one exactly the same, and they are used in a lot of lockers and other applications. So a nice little industrial lock, but there's limits to what keys you can fit in here. You can't just use it with your regular key. Unlike the other ones, like here's 2 different generations of cabinet locks. One with the rounded front, no security sleeve, and the small core, and this one with the standard security sleeve, the 5-pin core, and these ones, the new ones, has a C-clip on the back, and this one comes with a retaining nut. So other than that, you just mount this on the back of your door, drill a hole through and push the cylinder in. If you need something for decoration, you just apply this with 3 small screws. There's no security in that, but it indicates that it's locked, and it'll keep people out unless they have a criminal intent to actually get in, because then they will get in. The 205 has also been used in this cute little industrial lock here. This one is actually for when you're living in a building where you have a laundry room in the basement, and then each apartment has its own lock here. You can have your apartment number up here on the top, and basically when you need to reserve the washing machine, you go to the calendar wall and you turn this and push this into the calendar and rotate and take your key with you, and now you have reserved your washing time. Fun little industrial lock, all based on the 205. So again, we have a small key with very little variation, but that's how it is. If you want something else on your cabinet, you can also get something like this one. And we can see with the 2 holes up here that the cylinder here can actually be rotated, so that it will be both for left and right and up and down orientation. You can also turn the whole gold section here around to support that it goes either that way or that way in a cabinet. But this one requires a bit of chiseling skills, as this section needs to be put inside the wood. So it's for the creative person. You get a small ring here that you can put around to cover some of your mistakes, but it's a complicated one, so the newer one are better. This one is a bit different. Here you don't have to chisel anything into the wood, you just need to make this weird shaped hole through the cabinet where you can push the lock in and you supply the 4 screws from the back and you're good to go. Also found these 2 crazy historical items. This is actually something that could be used on a storage door in a basement, where you would have a bracket resting on the frame, and you would have a tailpiece here that could, just like the washing lock, would rotate and release. And this one is based on the tiny 205, but it was also available with the 207. So like the 1607, the full size, so you could put your apartment door key in here, and 1 key for everything again. So a nice solid bracket here for making sure that no one would steal your belongings from the public basement for your little storage room. So basically that's the industrial ones, and whenever someone has a good recipe for a success, someone will follow in their footsteps. And things like that is this Biltema. You can see on the head that it's based on the ASA 7-pin, and it is a 7-pin, but it's cheaper than the original ones and the quality is different, so it's not as good, but it does the works if people don't want to pay for the full thing. And they are also, if you're into lock sports, they are a bit different in the feel, so they can be fun to pick, but as long as you don't think that it's the real deal, then they're good enough. You can also find things like a safe, which looked like the regular ruko. And again, it's not the ruko tolerances. It's actually a bit floppy in here. This is a brand new one. This has never been in use, and still has this much slack on everything. Interesting enough, it actually comes with set screws at the top, so we'll take that apart in another video. And for your letterboxes, you also have the Yasa. And actually, as you can see on this one, it's actually based on the trial wing Norwegian look. So there might be some Norwegians that think, oh my god, that's a trial wing that I got here. I can see it from the head of the key. And things like this letterbox here with the Dean box. And actually, this is a 6-pinner, but when people say, oh, I just want 1 key for everything, I know Ruko does that. The Ruko 6-pin does not fit in. It's not the same profile. It's not the VT profile as this standard 6-pinner. So, what we can do if we need to repin this without going to China to get some key blanks for this one, is actually that we can take a 5-pin, because it supports the Ruko 5-pin profile. And then we just let the 6-pin rest on the tip of the key, like when we take some of the American padlocks and pin them up as a 6-pinner using a 5-pin key. So there are ways to repin this, but again, the quality, it's not Ruko. There is a reason that these are cheaper. So all for today and all for the introduction. Now I think we covered basically the different type of locks, the different types of keys, and when you have seen these parts 1 to 6, you should be familiar with all the different types, and from now on we'll be going into details. We'll take them apart, we'll compare them, and look at the different pins, and I'll be showing you some tricks on how to take these babies apart, and more importantly how to put them back together again in a quick and easy way to make sure that they are fully operational when you are finished. And we'll look at some repinning tricks like the balanced pin stacks and everything in detail. So but I think there'll be a pause until the next weekend before we'll have time for that. So have a look at these intro videos till then, and hopefully you'll be ready for when we start with the details, and you should have all your basics in place by then. So happy learning and happy rest of the weekend. Have a nice day. Bye.